So today we're going to cover some quick hits across the gaming universe, and then do a deep dive into Horizon Zero Dawn's story and the inspirations of it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. So Sony's working hard to integrate with Discord. Now, this has been a topic that's come up a few times throughout the podcast where actually Microsoft was trying to purchase Discord and they said no. So that's kind of cool that we're going to see Discord and Sony work together. Now, what would be the most ideal is if we could get Microsoft to integrate Discord as well. Then we could have one chat to rule them all across gaming, which would be revolutionary, especially for cross-platform games. So next we have a Bill Maher comment on Twitch. Let's watch the clip.
You think someone 80 is hopeless because they can't use an iPhone? Maybe the one who's hopeless is the one who can't stop using it. You think I'm out of it because I'm not on Twitch? Well, maybe I get Twitch, but I just think people watching other people play video games is a waste of fucking time.
First off, I think all generations have issues with phone etiquette, right? I know some older people in my family particularly have no regard for phone etiquette. Like, you can be talking to them and they'll still bring out their phone, not have any idea that there's a conversation happening. So I think he's way off base when blaming millennials or Gen Z that we're the ones always in our phones, right? And I think that's widely across all generations. So he's kind of off base there, in my opinion. You know what's a real waste of time? You, Bill Maher. You and your show have been irrelevant since George W. I mean, seriously, you're a popular political TV show, but yet you're not pushing any kind of policy, not pushing any kind of help for people. So do you know what you are? Propaganda. Shut up and let us enjoy our hot tubs and our video games. So Sony's being sued for having a monopoly on the PlayStation Store by refusing to let third-party outlets, Amazon, Walmart, sell their codes. Valve is actually being sued for very similar things. The Division Heartland was now announced. It's going to be coming out mobile late 2021 or 2022. Resident Evil Village came out today. It's getting great reviews. If you like that kind of thing, go check it out. Blizzard's player base has dropped nearly 30% in the last 3 years. 2020 was Nintendo's best year ever. Tiger Woods is back. He will be in the next PGA Tour 2K. All right, I want to start this with a little spoiler warning. I'm not necessarily saying you should turn this off since the game is very much worth playing. Do the impressive gameplay, the aesthetics, the award-winning voice acting. But don't say you haven't been warned. The story is set 1,000 years into the future. You play as Aloy throughout, who's been trained to be an extremely good fighter and hunter by her adopted dad, Rost. When Aloy is little, she finds a device called a Focus. Fits right in her ear. It's a great storytelling device as it allows her to kind of tap into ancient technology, our technology, and really shows her things of the past. Think of the Focus as an augmented reality device. So I find the Focus is aptly named, right? To me, the Focus has a few similarities, like from the Force from Star Wars, right? It gives her extra perception. It gives her the ability to communicate over large distances. The Focus kind of makes me think of like remote viewing as well. I'm not too sure if you guys are aware, but which is a technique where a person can be trained to view someone else's surroundings without having any idea where they are. Think of Eleven from Stranger Things. Now, the world's been overrun by machines, which seems to mimic the real-life animals as well. These machines feed off biological elements, including humans, and even eat each other, which kind of creates their own ecosystems where humans are no longer on top. When you have any robot takeover, you obviously have to talk about the singularity, how it came, who enabled it, and obviously at what point did they become conscious. There's a fantastic book called Superintelligence, Paths, Dangers, and Strategies by Nick Bostrom, which goes really deep into these warning signs of AI and how humans potentially won't have the slightest clue as to what they're doing and how we'll spell out our own doom, right? Highly recommend it. We'll be coming back to this singularity aspect a time or two. Now, remember, this all occurred around the time 3000 Common Era. Aloy is a outcast, as is Rost, her surrogate father. The primary progression of the story is Aloy trying to figure out where she came from, why she's an outcast, and who her mother really is, as Ross can't answer these. But he then sends her down the rabbit hole as to how she can get these answers. Aloy has to go through basically a Hunger Games esque trial to prove her worth to her tribe, the Nora, which, of course, you win as the player. But the proving, the actual name of the event, is ambushed by a rival tribe who is actually wearing focuses as well. Ross comes out of nowhere to sacrifice himself to save Aloy. I mean, like seriously, Ross had no business being there. Like, he's an outcast himself. He probably could have been jailed, I assume, if they do such things, or killed immediately on sight. What he was doing there is completely unsure, but we'll move on. So after this attack, Aloy discovers that she was left on a worshipping altar as a baby in front of a large door that's never opened. One of the matriarchs found it as a blessing, but the other two thought of her as a curse and sent her out to be raised by an outcast. Now this really makes you think of the three kings, three magi, three wise men, right? The fable of and the fable of Moses being sent down the Nile to be kept safe from the Pharaoh's death order, right? The story of a baby being sent down the Nile is actually even older than Moses himself. No matter what story you subscribe to, this person is one of extreme significance. In the case of Moses, he is able to deliver messages from God, including the Ten Commandments and the first 5 books of the Bible, right? We see this correlation later with Aloy, right? With her ability to kind of see olden times and what was important and what they were doing. Now, catching back up with Aloy, she's now tracked down another user of the Focus who's working for a cult called the Eclipse, who is now worshiping a demon named Hades. Now, Hades is obviously a reference to the Greek god of the dead, king of the underworld, the unseen one. Now, modern takes on death, the underworld, even Hades, is kind of portrayed negatively, right? Giving the connotations that Hades is an evil being. But largely in Greek myths and mythology, Hades is passive and understands his role in terms of balance for the world, the universe. And we'll see that come up a little bit later, where Hades isn't this evil being force to be dealt with initially, but yet we kind of have that turn to where it is. So back to Aloy, and her antagonists is Hades and the Eclipse, which have the ability to corrupt these machines and have them fight on their side, right? Right around this time, we discover, of course, that the robots were created to help mankind, like all machines when the singularity comes around are. But there's a glitch in the programming, of course, that made them turn on the humans. This is the most obvious thing, but soon we'll learn to figure out why and what would happen. So Aloy discovers that the last surviving humans started a project called Zero Dawn, right? And that's where we get the subtitle Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a project that created a system called Gaia, an artificial intelligence that's tasked with bringing the Earth back to life once machines destroy it and then destroy themselves as well. So now this is where it gets a little confusing, so stick with me here. So now Gaia has subsets. All of them are aptly named, like Poseidon rejuvenates the oceans and the water of the earth. Apollo is a program to educate the new people of the earth. There's also appears to be another one that involves creating clone children to repopulate the earth. Now, obviously, I think the sequel, Horizon Forbidden West, which is due out later in 2021, if I had to bet, I'm willing to bet we're going to see more of these subsections of Gaia be shown, maybe other parts that we have to deal with. So the most obvious and important subset of the Gaia program is the Hades program. Being the god of death, Hades was tasked to destroy all life on Earth if the redevelopment plan didn't go like they wanted. We then learn Hades becomes self-aware and acts in its own interest and goes against Gaia and stores itself somewhere else. So Gaia has many, many interpretations and meanings. To some, it simply means life, and to others, it means a representation of the earth itself. In a lot of ways, Gaia would have been a better choice of a name rather than Earth, as it's a Greek Roman name, right? Just like the rest of the planets in the solar system. In ancient times, Gaia, she, was always referred to as the giving mother, provider of life. Almost every civilization throughout human history has had their own term for Gaia: Mother Earth, nature, Tellus, Re, and Terra. So Gaia is yet another strong feminine influence on the story, which is a very common theme, and I felt it was done very well. They didn't create an all-knowing, perfect Aloy. Some of the things I read on the internet about Aloy was that she was a Mary Sue character, that she was too perfect, too unknowing. And if you're unfamiliar with the term, Mary Sue is someone that's it's kind of a sexist term that means the character is unbelievably perfect, right? It's largely thrown on female characters who are thrown into a major role, which people used to be used to always being male. But I felt Horizon Zero Dawn kind of nailed this, where they make Aloy very relatable, the voice acting for the actor was spot on, and the character was top notch. So Gaia is basically forced to destroy the prime reactor, destroying everything, including itself, or herself as she's personified in the game. Hades, of course, survives this by jumping to a different computer system. But one of the last acts out of desperation that Gaia does is it creates Aloy using clone technology and the DNA of none other than Elizabeth Sorbeck, who was the creator of the Gaia program. As you can predict, Aloy is given the tools she needs to beat the Eclipse cult and Hades. Sorbeck is this genius scientist, right? But by God, if you're coming up with a backup plan, what kind of backup plan is Hades? If it doesn't work, we're just gonna destroy everything and burn it to the ground. So at the very core of the story, we kind of have intertwined God aspects, right? We have Sorbeck, who's this great creator, this great manifester, who creates this all-knowing and powerful AI, Gaia. Gaia is an ultra-powerful and life-giving creator who creates Aloy, Sorbeck, clone. What I take away from this is that we're kind of a god each in our own right. We can manifest great things together. We live together, and we create this organism that is Gaia. James Lovelock, great name. I mean, just perfect name. Came up with this hypothesis in the 70s, which is now adopted as a theory, where we all live together, intermingling. Together, we're all one organism on Gaia. So ultimately, throughout the story, we have a lot of Christian-inspired themes really get into the story. One that I didn't kind of glazed over was when the robots took over the Earth. It was called a plague that went over the Earth and went over these robots. And that's kind of, you could really think of it as the Great Flood, right? Because it just took over the Earth in a wave, they said in the game. So there's so many inspiration. Even the writer came out and said he was very inspired by the movie Ben-Hur, I believe, and the movie The Ten Commandments. So you see these old stories kind of come back and influence these writers, and I thought that was really cool. Now that's all the correlations that I made in my first pass of Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm sure I missed a ton. Please let me know what I missed and what I should cover next time. Leave a comment, hit that like and follow and subscribe, and every other button you can hit, and I'll see you next time.